What's up? How's it going, everybody? Welcome into the Sactown Sports Kings recap. Coming to you after a crazy night in Denver. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but speaking to you after the Sacramento Kings pull out what might have been the most unlikely win for them of the season, getting their third win of the year against the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Second time already this month. They play again on February 28th in Denver as well. Excited for that one, but really excited that the Kings got the result tonight. When frankly, I don't think they deserved it. For about really for the first half, they could not hit a single shot, and we've seen all year long, and I've been talking about it all year long. When this team doesn't hit their shots from the perimeter, they collapse. They don't have anything to go to. They can't defend, and it's really just been a death sentence for them. If they shoot under 40% from three, or more so 37% from three, they're going to lose on most nights. And tonight, there's some issues going on with stats all across. If you look at NBA.com and ESPN.com, their stats are down. So bear with me a bit on the numbers, but the numbers that I have is that the Kings finished 8 of 32 from three tonight, 25%. That is not a number that the Kings have won with all year long. I'll pull up the basketball reference to just kind of highlight the other bad shooting performances in which the Kings have won. And I'm telling you right now, this is by far the lowest or the worst that the Kings have shot in a victory. It is a really good win for Mike Brown to show his team, hey guys, there's more than one way of winning. So they've actually won twice this season when shooting below 30% from three. But again, 25% is the lowest percentage that they have shot and won. It is the fifth lowest total from beyond the perimeter that they have had this year. And their only other wins when shooting below 30% was earlier this year against OKC. And then that terrible Memphis game in Memphis. What was that? At the end of January. So really, I mean, this is a very rare kind of win for the Kings, for this Kings team. And the fact that it is coming against the defending champions, I think is huge. Especially considering, how bad they played in that second half in that first half, and how they were able to just completely turn things around. They turned the ball over countless times in that first half. I wish I had the exact number. They finished with 13 turnovers. By my count, they only had two turnovers max in that second half. So really just cleaned things up across the board. The shots still didn't fall, but it was De'Aaron getting to the rim. I thought Harrison Barnes had a huge night, hit some really timely shots. That corner three that he hit, where it was a bullet, it was a laser. It kind of caught him more than he caught it. He still put it up, knocked it down, and that really gave the Kings a ton of energy down the stretch. And Chris Duarte checked in really randomly for 7 minutes. I believe it was to start the fourth quarter, and gave great minutes. Duarte has been feast or famine, and not necessarily with his play, but quite literally with his minutes. It is either Chris Duarte starts or Chris Duarte gets a DNP coach's decision. We have not seen Chris Duarte really get any minutes at all. I think Katie said he's had 6 minutes total in the past 15 games that this Kings team has played. So the fact that Mike Brown went to him randomly in that fourth quarter, he was searching. He had 7 minutes from Davion he clearly didn't like. He had a couple minutes out of Keon Ellis, which Keon was a +5 in those minutes. So interesting to kind of see Mike Brown go away from Keon, but it was clearly the right move, because Duarte came in, he hit down a pretty big three, which, I frankly didn't expect him to hit. He also bricked a three, which was probably the worst looking shot of the night. It was a really good look, but he missed it by a foot to the right. But the three that he did hit was huge. And that's it's unfortunate that we're now what 54 games into the season, and that's really one of the most positive moments we've seen out of Chris Duarte this year. It's a shame that he just never really got involved with this team because the play style that he plays, the aggressive defense, it got him into foul trouble a lot. But to me, the thing that really let him down this year was his shot making. If Chris Duarte would have been able to hit threes semi consistently, especially with how Kevin Herter couldn't hit anything for a good majority of this season, it was wide open for Chris Duarte to take that spot and or at least take some minutes. And he just never capitalized all year. And maybe if he could have had some more games like he had tonight, I think he would have found himself in the rotation. Of course, there is still time. There is a sprint left for the rest of this season. Of course, tonight was the last game the Kings will play for another week as they head into the All-Star break. A lot can change. A lot can change in that 28 games. I expect things to get weird, man. I really think this is going to be just a fun box for Mike Brown to play with where, I think this team is good. I think we all have seen this team's limitations, but even if the bottom completely falls out from this team, they're probably going to be a 10 seed. I think a lot of the decisions Mike Brown's going to make in the second half of this season, or whatever you want to call the post All-Star break, I think a majority of those moves are going to be done with the lens of, is this does this work for the playoffs? And I think that's going to be Davion Mitchell minutes. I think it's going to be Davion versus Keon in terms of figuring out who Mike Brown really does trust. I think Davion's played really well. More so just hitting his shots these past couple games where he's been asked to come in. That's huge for Davion. We all know how big his shot development is just in terms of his overall development. So if Davion can start knocking down shots consistently, it's going to be tough to keep him off the floor, especially with him having playoff experience last year. Keon Ellis, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for him. He's got to hit open looks. He had one today, missed it in the corner. It's not fair that, he's not going to get a ton of opportunity to get those shots, but you got to hit them. It's a make or miss league. And, if one guy's hitting his shots and another's not, it can really be that simple in terms of who's going to get the minutes in a given game. So, good to see Davion knock down his shots. And I really hope Keon can make that into a really good competition because I think we've seen all year long that backup point guard slot is wide open for the taking. And they're going to have to play somebody in those minutes when De'Aaron's not out there. Who knows? We have seen, I guess, in the past, Mike Brown did go to more of just straight Malik Monk as the backup point guard. Maybe that's the plan in the playoffs as well. But if I had to guess, I think Davion's going to get another shot at it. I think he's shown enough, and I think he played well enough in the playoffs last year to not completely give up on him, especially if they're going to need him, to guard, some of the better perimeter players in the NBA. Dude, yeah, mid rock. Mason Jones was on his Kent Bazemore hype today. He was all over the floor, that's awesome. Like that's how this guy's a veteran and he understands. Because Mason Jones has been around the block. He's a younger guy for sure, but he's had two-way contracts in the past, and it's a really good way of being noticed. Guys, if you're hyping up your guys, if you're the first dude off the bench, if you're almost a hold me back guy, where if you look after every made bucket, Mason Jones is damn near walking on the floor. So that's the kind of thing that gets you noticed by coaches. They like to have that kind of spirit on the bench, especially, when you have that spirit, even when the Kings are down by 15-16, and then they make a big comeback, you're a part of that. You are a part of spiriting your team, keeping the energy high, infusing fresh blood, a new pair of eyes on the team. That's that's how Mason Jones can stay with this team. I know this is kind of his first experience with the two way with this Sacramento team, but I saw him down in Stockton. He's a really interesting player. I don't think he's necessarily going to get. Who knows? He probably will get some stint at some point before the end of this season. I don't know if he's going to get a legitimate fair shot at um, getting real rotational minutes. I don't know if he even should, if he, if they should even give him that kind of look. But from what I saw in Stockton, he's just a really steady point guard. He's not flashy. He loves to move the ball around. He can hit a three. I think Brendan described him to me like Terrence Davis, but more of a point guard. And it's not perfect. I think TD's definitely a better shooter. But you can kind of see he's got a quiet confidence to him. And again, I just when I saw him down in Stockton, I just thought he was a really really good solid point guard that you just trust. Like he didn't play outside of himself. Really just did really solid point guard things and is good around the rim. Again, the game I saw, he knocked down a couple threes. There could be something there for sure. I'm not calling it or anything. I'm not saying, look out for him for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a moment where they throw him out either in garbage time or who knows. We've seen Mike Brown just kind of give Colby Jones first quarter minutes out of nowhere early this year. Maybe they do a similar thing with Mason Jones. I don't know, but definitely like to see him getting up and hyping up the guys. That was really awesome. Looks like the stats are back up too. So I didn't even know the official final score until right now. So 98-102 is the official final score here. Let's see here. Turnovers. The Kings did end up with 14 turnovers. 18 bench points, which isn't great. Malik Monk, really, really quiet night, especially with how he's been playing here recently. A lot of 20-point games for Malik as of late. So a little disappointing to see him end up 2 of 11, 6 points, 3 turnovers. Turnovers were the big thing for Malik today. And it's really been a problem for him these past couple games, especially in that first half. It just looks sloppy. He's being a little too, as our guy Zion would say, lackadaisical with the ball. And, you can't have that. You just, especially again, if Malik's going to be this team's backup point guard for all intents and purposes, he's going to have to take care of the ball. I know you got to kind of get the give and the take with Malik having the ball in his hands, but you can't have that many turnovers. You can't have a 1-for-1 assist to turnover ratio if you're going to be a point guard. He's had games where he has eight assists and 1 or 2 turnovers. So more of those and less of these kind of games for Malik, but it's excusable. He's before going into tonight, he had 20 points and 20 or more points in 6 of 7 games. Last game before the All-Star break, heading into Denver, we definitely saw that fatigue too. The Kings were exhausted today. They really did not have their A game. They weren't attacking the rim. Really, De'Aaron was the only one who was attacking the rim at the end of the game. They were relying again on 3-point shots. It's interesting to me that this is back-to-back games where the Kings have taken under 35 threes. I believe last night they took 31. Tonight they took 33, which looking at it here, 31 last night was their second lowest 3-point attempt total. 33 is tied for their third fewest attempts from 3. So maybe things are starting to sink in with these guys where there's a lot more games. I mean, it feels like, half of the season in 23 of the 53 games. No, I'm sorry. I read that way wrong. In 30 games, 30 of the 53 games this year, the Kings have taken 40 or more threes. So again, for them to take 33, which is their third lowest total after just taking their second lowest total, To me, that's a sign. That is telling me that there's probably going to be less 3 pointers attempted, which I think is good. I mean, we've seen enough sample size of this team not hitting shots this year to understand that might be for the better. Even then, De'Aaron taking 7 today, I don't love. I know he took 12 yesterday. I just, I just don't. I'm not liking how his shot is looking right now. Saying that he had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists tonight. Looked great. Was the reason they won down the stretch. I think he scored their last 10 points of the game. Great stuff. Great stuff from De'Aaron. Can't really complain. But his 3-point shooting is the part of his game where I don't know. I guess I just got to get used to it because this is kind of the way that his game is trending. And I definitely think it's going to be more threes from De'Aaron before we get to less threes. But I just think in general, it's good for this team to start to kind of measure themselves. And I wouldn't be upset if everyone starts kind of treating themselves like Demonis Sabonis, with the exception of Keegan Murray, who continues to struggle. Keegan and Kevin are really the only two that I'm like, you guys should and HB if he wants to really just let it fly. Those guys need to hit perimeter jumpers for this team to be at their absolute best. But yeah, I mean Sabonis, he's very measured with the ones he takes. Talked about how I want De'Aaron to be more measured. Malik is now 0 of 8 from 3 in his last 2 games. He's really good at getting to the rack. He's great in the pick and roll. His mid-range shot is falling. I think Malik might just again, I think 3 is a safe number for him to take. I've got no problem with Malik going 0 of 3 every night. I think that's totally fine. He's got to take them. But again, I like the fact that he's kind of measured himself a bit, but the fact he's not hitting perimeter jumpers a bit concerning. Trey Lyles, first game back after that illness the other day, would have liked to kind of see Trey play a little bit better, but understandably, kind of a weird situation. Um, Sorry, Frankie just texted me a tweet from who is this from? This is from a Denver Nuggets beat reporter saying, very difficult hearing Nuggets head coach Michael Malone in his post-game presser. He's lost like 50% of his voice. And here's the best part. The Kings are blasting music from the visitors' locker room. I freaking love it. I love it. The vibes are great with this team. They're now 12 and 11 since the turn of the new year. That's not great. That is not what I think this team expected from head to toe. I think from Monty McNair or Vivek all the way down, I think everybody expected this team to be better than 500 through 24 games or 23 games. But again, the fact that they do nothing at the deadline, the fact that this team, even though they haven't gotten results recently, I think they're playing good basketball. On their good nights, they look great. On their bad nights, like the other day against Detroit, they look terrible. But I think the fact that they're still connected and they're enjoying each other, and you're not hearing, X person's upset about their touches. You're not hearing just discourse in the locker room. There doesn't seem to be anything vocal with, people being upset about their minutes, even though I'm sure they are. None of that stuff is out there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Are last year's vibes back? I think so. I think at least internally, the vibes are great, and that's awesome because I read it out earlier um, on the radio show. The Kings were 15-5 out after the immediately after the All-Star break last year. They came out of the All-Star break guns ablazing. They really took off. The second game out of the All-Star break was that Clipper game that we all remember from last year. The greatest game we've all ever seen, the double overtime spectacular. That was the second game out of the All-Star break. So this seeing this team feeling good about themselves, clearly thrilled to be on winter vacation or whatever you would call this. Trying to give a school comp. Uh, they're thrilled. They're happy. The vibes are good. I think this All-Star break is coming at the perfect time for them, where they just need a week off. They really, honestly, truthfully, just need a reset. It's not that they're tired of each other. It's just mentally they're drained. And I get it. It's great. I think it's awesome in a weird way that De'Aaron's not going to the All-Star. I don't think he wanted to. I think it would be just things for him to have to check off a list before he can actually relax. So I love the fact that De'Aaron, who's a super mellow, low-key guy, is just going to hang out with the family. I'm sure, he might go somewhere for a couple days, but just escape, man. Just get out, escape, go on vacation, come back ready to go. Let's get this thing going, and hopefully they can make a nice little playoff push because, like we talked about yesterday, Western Conference is tight. The Western Conference is really really tight. I know the Kings are some of the earlier games from today, but I do know that a lot of the teams surrounding the Kings are in action right now, and I'm just kind of peeling up the standings. So Dallas is playing right now, and Dallas they beat San Antonio, so the Kings stay tied with Dallas for that 7 seed. New Orleans did beat Washington, so they stay a game, I believe, ahead of this Kings team. Yeah, they stay a game ahead of the Kings. And I don't believe the Phoenix Suns do play today, and they beat Detroit. So it's a good thing that the Kings got the result today, because if they didn't, they would be heading into the All-Star break in sole possession of eighth. With only that would have been a game and a half ahead of the Lakers. Little bit scary there. So really, really glad the Kings got the result today. They really needed it. They really, really needed it. And they're gonna have to come out of the All-Star break ready to ball. Because it's not easy. The Kings' remaining strength of schedule the rest of this year is the fifth toughest in the NBA right now. Their remaining opponents have a combined winning percentage of, let me just check this real quick. Oh, they actually dropped after tonight. They now have the eighth highest strength of schedule remaining at 516 win percentage. So that is unfortunate. The Blazers, the Jazz, and the Suns and San Antonio are the other Western Conference teams that have tougher schedules than them. Of course, the Clippers and Phoenix are really the only two that matter from the Kings' perspective. The Lakers also have a 513 win percentage remaining, with New Orleans as well having a 510. So it's not like the Kings are facing much tougher competition than everybody else. Relatively, they're all kind of in the same crop. So I don't really think I'm going to use that as a crutch or as an excuse for the rest of this way. At the end of the day, if you want to be a playoff team, you've got to beat good teams. And so yeah, if the Kings are going to make a playoff push here, they're going to have to beat some really good teams, and they're probably going to have to beat some teams that you wouldn't expect them to beat on paper. So excited for that. Excited for these guys to get a break. I'm honestly, quite frankly, excited for a break as well. But like I said earlier, it is a sprint to the end of the season. As of today, actually, we are officially 2 months away from the final regular season game, where the Kings will play the Portland Trail Blazers on April 14th. So today being February 14th, yes, we are officially 2 months away from the final regular season game. I cannot wait. I really can't wait. I'm just looking at this gauntlet that the Kings have in front of them. There's there's really not more than 2 games, maybe 3 that I'm looking at in a row where you could say, yeah, that's lighter competition. So the ups and downs that we've seen so far this year, they've got to go away. They have to go away. Again, the Kings 15-5 after the All-Star break, not including the month of April where they went 1-4 and the 3 seed was pretty much locked up. It's imperative that the Kings play their best basketball coming out of the break. You cannot slow it down. You cannot, ease your way into the final with, especially how tight the Western Conference is. Every single game matters, and some games are gonna, some games are gonna be, how they do the All Star voting, and there's like, today your vote counts as 3 times. One vote counts as 3. There's going to be a couple games down the stretch here that are going to count for 2 games essentially, because if you can beat, they have a back-to-back against the Dallas Mavericks. Thankfully, both of those are at home, but if the Kings can win, so if the Kings win both of those games, it's almost like winning 4 games actually, specifically on Dallas, because you're moving 2 spots up, but they're also moving 2 spots down, and it can just throw everything out of whack every single night. The Kings have 2 games against the Clippers remaining, a game against the Celtics remaining, a couple, I believe, against the Pelicans, 1 against the Pelicans, 1 against the Timberwolves. Of course, they have 1 more against the Denver Nuggets as well. It's going to be tough. It is going to be really, really tough, but the Kings have to stay single track focused, worry about the team that you're playing next, can't look too far into the future. And we'll see. We'll see how this thing goes. Hopefully, this team can remain healthy and can continue to play some really good basketball. Super excited the Kings got the win tonight. I got to go eat some dinner. Enjoy your loved ones. Everybody have a great Valentine's Day. I will see you after the All-Star break. And everybody enjoy this beam because it's going to be at least a week until we see one again. Hope you all have a fantastic night. Bye-bye.